backboard scratching. But once I get over it, hearing the sound, I get used to it, then it's great because you can get it lots of color. You can go from drawing to painting, which is application, and it's very instantaneous. You can do a really lovely full color painting in a short period of time. And so I like the instant results of pastel. Also, pastel makes you look at all the color. Paint, you mix the color. So you're not always as creative, and you're mixing. You mix any color you want though, but you don't always automatically do it. The pastels, you say you're going to reach for one color, and then you look at all that rainbow, and say, wow, I'll try this one instead. And I find it's the only medium I can do that with, because it just is staring at you and makes you be more adventurous. But I like my oil. I love the smell of oil. As I was a kid, I love the smell of oil. I love playing with paint. It's like playing with icing. You mix it, you get all that. But sometimes I sit down and pick 2 hours to do a palette. I was like, I've been doing a palette. Just laying out your colors 2 hours. I said, isn't it pretty? Because you're putting out all these colors, and it goes plop, and then you mix it with white, and it changes. And I look at all the possibilities. I got these 9, 12, 15 colors. There's 1,000 possibilities with it. And when you choose how you're going to put it on, with a brush, thin, thick, lean, or flat, or glossy, and apply with a knife or a brush. Lots and lots of tools to play with. With oils, you go and play. Watercolor, I don't know. It's its own master. I want red, need 4 layers. Oils, red. Pastels, red. Watercolor, okay, 3 more layers, I got red. Watercolor make you work a little harder. Unless you say, I'll serve it. It does things well. And it does washes well, movement well, pebbles well. It does these neat patterns with salt and water and alcohol, all these things. Different colors do different, can't think of the word right now, but they form different patterns in it. So once you get to know the paint, you can play with it. But if I want a bright red, round, blended shape of some kind, it's going to have to play with it. It doesn't allow me to do that. But if I want this lovely wash effect, loose fluid effect, does it beautifully, more better than all the others. So I guess they each have their place. Pastel and oil is my favorite.
And you said before that you started painting as a job because you liked the flexible hours and control of your time. There are lots of reasons. There must be other people whose perfect job is to be an artist but are too scared to take the leap. In 100 years, we'll say about the people who had the courage to take that leap. Thank goodness they did it. Imagine a world without this artist, this great artist or whatever. But it's the individual who has to make that decision all by themselves, and it's a little scary. Was it scary for you?
Well, I think it was a little bit. Well, it was kind of, I'm not sure if scary was the word, maybe it was more naive than that. It was uncertain. It was a gamble. But it was like, if you go for a job and you get a job, you got your salary, you're going to get your benefits, whatever, and you're going to get so much pay, so many out. You can always get fired, though. You're going to get laid off, all these things. So there's that. I'd always been self-employed for decades, 30 years of different businesses. So I already knew the risks of business, the risks of bankruptcy, the risks of great success, all those things. Been at both. I haven't been bankrupt before, but I've had some failures and I had some great successes. So in business, you have the ups and downs. And you have demands of speed. You need to have this done a certain time. You have people come in that say, don't want this, redo it. So you have no ego in business in that sense. In art, it's more like your baby's out there. But when it came time to take the plunge, my husband sat down and said, play with it for a year. Just play, just learn, paint, go to shows and look at other people. Just do it for a year. Then decide if you're going to do it as a professional. Eventually, when you have a family and you need income to pay your mortgage and your eat and all that stuff, you have to make a decision. You don't want to play so long before eventually you have to take that jump. And I said, okay, I can do the jump. And at that time, I was doing moody artwork. I think I told you that before. I was doing these black, moody paintings, and they had to have a lot of meaning to them, and serious meaning. It's art, right? And I was at a gallery. I was at a show, and a gallery owner came by, who's been in business for years, said, well, you have talent. We can see that, but why do you do all this moody stuff? I said, well, that's what you're supposed to do, serious thing, it's art. And he said, do you want your career to take off quickly and then go to wherever you want to go? Well, everybody says yes. He said, well, do something Canadian, bright colors, in oils of children. People always like that, and there's a big market need for that type of artwork. He says, we have lots of florals, abstracts, wildlife, Trying to think still life. Says we have a lot of artists that do this, but very few artists that do people artwork or that do children's artwork right now. So I did. I started a few of these sports series. It took off, and I was like, great. But I was afraid of getting slotted, and this gallery owner also said, you make sure you do your oil portraits. That's the most difficult of the fields. You have to require the most accuracy, the most discipline, the most training, on and on. And he said, if you develop that, make sure you develop that and keep it. And once you're very good at your oil portraits, then you can go to landscapes, abstract with floors, whatever else. It would be easy. He said to go from abstracts or landscapes or anything to people art, more difficult than reversing it. And he said you've developed your skills. And he said one of the most important things is draftsmanship is developed with portrait art. Portrait and figurative art, I'm including the two together. You can't always have crooked nose and cubic work. You eventually have to start off with accuracy. That carries through all your other work. It's just automatic. You do things more, likely to do things more with accuracy and draftsmanship than if you didn't do it. And that's so, I did the jump, and you know what? It was, I thought my first show I made, I think it was $90. Yes! Today I look at that, that was a dismal failure. But you're naive then, you're just so happy somebody, a stranger bought something that wasn't even your dad, or your husband, or your friend, or somebody, a stranger, and said, oh, I like this. And not only did the one piece of art they bought was worth $30 worth, they gave me $120, said, it's not enough, you just have to start charging more. I was like, wow, somebody did that. So there was a lot of motivation at the beginning, a lot of help, and a lot of pushes. And I think I had to learn fast. I had a family. I had to get this business or this career developed quickly, couldn't play. And when it came time to either go to university or college to learn or do it on the fly as you go, I didn't have time for 4 years university. Plus they only work 20, 30 hours a week in class and train. The rest is on their own. And I said, well, if they're only 20, 30 hours a week training, which is probably closer to 15, 20 hours, why not just take workshops and classes and then spend 60 hours learning it? And then choose, as I'm teaching myself, then I can choose the subject that my learning pieces sell that help pay me to go on to the next piece. So even my color wheels or bones, everything was sold to pay for me to be able to work